the Summerween Superstore.
Wait, summer what?
Summerween! The people of this town love Halloween so much they celebrate it twice a year. And wouldn't you know it, it's today.
Do you always carry that calendar in your pocket?
Yes.
Summerween? Something about this feels unnatural.
There's free candy.
To the costume aisle!
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Pining for the Falls, the podcast where made-up holidays are just as important as the real ones. I'm Fire Princess Lily, and I am joined, as always, by my good friend, Dr. Sea Monster. Hey, Doc, how you doing?
Getting by, you know. I was on time to get into it, but stuff happens.
Yeah. Stuff, not great.
How are you holding up?
Not too bad. You know, things are what they are. I've been doing pretty good. What have you been up to this week? Since we last recorded this podcast.
Watch some more My Next Life's a Villainous. And a little bit of video games. Not a lot. It's been a pretty mellow last few days for me, except for things. But,
Okay, well, as for me, I have been, just on my usual track of working, watching anime, and watching wrestling, and, other cartoons. Like we talked about yesterday on the Trigger podcast, I did finish Season 3 of Young Justice, which was superb. Amazing. Had a big cliffhanger there at the end, but, they didn't need to do that to me. They did not need to do that to me. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. It's got to be something, because I don't know why they would end on that shot unless it was going to mean something. But you never know in the world of animation and cartoons. Not mentioned on yesterday's podcast, I finished the main story for Borderlands 3. Fun game. I'm currently working my way through the DLC very slowly. I finished the first DLC, and I'm currently working through the second one, which is very Cthulhu-based, which you would think would be just a little more fun, but it's kind of annoying. Some of the bosses are just not fun, but that's fine. It's not like I took 6 or 7 times trying to solo a single boss by myself. No, I would never waste that much time on anything. This is a lie. I'm, of course, always watching wrestling, and real excited this week for Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy. If you want to find out more how I feel about that and how excited I am, listen to the Trigger podcast, because I'm not going to put Nathan through that again. But something I didn't talk about was that this week... Oh, wait, no, I did talk about it, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Nyla Rose, my favorite wrestler. She has a big announcement this weekend that Tony Khan, the owner of AEW, says he knows about and is very excited for, but nobody else knows about. So, I'm just fingers crossed that it's not like something silly, because wrestling can do that. It could be, oh my god. Other things going on in wrestling. Rey Mysterio has been wrestling for WWE with no contract since like February, and nobody knows if he's going to renew his contract or go somewhere else. Because right now he's just doing it on a show by show basis, which is pretty interesting. I've never seen that before. Like not for like major talent like that. Sure, like, enhancement talent, a case-by-case basis. Absolutely. But for somebody like Rey Mysterio Jr., man's a superstar who has done a lot in the business. It's just amazing that, like, and I don't know what he's going to do either. I don't think he's going to resign, but I could totally be wrong. I just feel like if he was going to sign a new contract, he would have signed a new contract already, instead of,
delaying it like this.
Yeah. It's like, it's not like WWE has been particularly kind to Rey Mysterio Jr. Like, sure, they've had him wrestle for a long time, etc. Like, they brought him back after they let him go initially, but only because he got big in other promotions like Lucha Underground and Ring of Honor and stuff like that. They wanted to bring him back, and then they basically didn't do anything with him, because they didn't. But I they've done things to Rey Mysterio, like they've let him win titles, and then they'll take that title right off of him, like sometimes hours later, because WWE likes to record a bunch of shows in a row. And so you'll watch one week where Rey Mysterio has won the title, and he's talking about, I'm so proud of myself, I can't wait to take this home and show it to my son. But then they'll record, the next episode, or the next 2 episodes, and in one of those episodes, he'll lose the title immediately. So it's just like, he didn't even get to take it home to his son. Also, his son's supposed to be training at WWE, because it's part of, was a part of his contract, and they never did that. They never trained him at all. So I think if he does resign, he's gonna make that like the main focus of his contract, that his son does actually get trained, or he gets to quit. Or if he signs with a new promotion, that's still probably going to be a part of the contract, is that they train his son. Though why Rey Mysterio wouldn't train his own son, because he's Rey freaking Mysterio, I don't know. Maybe Dominic doesn't have the build or the athleticism to do all that lucha libre and needs a different style. I don't know. Maybe it's just not the right. Your guess is as good as mine, dear listener. Finished My Next Life as a Villainess. Really great ending. Did you happen to finish that at all, or are you still
I'm on to episode 8.
Then I will not tell you what happens. Stuff happens. And Katarina continues to remain dumb. That's just, it's just what it is. Apparently there's going to be a second season, so,
Looking forward to that.
look forward to that.
I honestly can't get enough of this show.
It's a good show. It's just really good. It's wholesome. Very wholesome. God damn it. So wholesome. And yeah, that's basically what's been going on with me. Like, I don't have a better update than that. Mostly because I just don't want to put you through all the wrestling stuff again. So do you want to talk about Gravity Falls then?
I'd love to.
Cool. This week we watched episode 12, Summerween. Good episode. Super weird. Zeus eats a man alive.
Let's see. Pine's family are terrible. Are treated retail boy terribly. Zeus eats the person alive, and then Stan exposes himself to some children.
there is that. Gosh, I know that one of the big references in this show, in this particular episode, is to No Face from Spirited Away, but I feel like the whole, you gotta do it before the last jack-o'-lantern, which their melon lanterns goes out. I feel like that's another callback to something, and I just can't place it. It's just going through my head, and I just cannot.
Is it the Halloween tree?
Is it the Halloween tree? The Halloween tree is gosh, isn't that the one where they
time travel.
Time travel. And something about the last jack-o'-lantern.
Oh.
They have to be back. Yes. Okay. Cool. We worked it out. Yeah. So this is their Halloween episode, but because Gravity Falls takes place over a summer, it's Summerween because apparently the town of Gravity Falls just loves Halloween so much, as we'll find out right in the opening. We open on tires screeching, and crashing into a handicap parking sign, which you just heard because I forgot to mute the audio for the show. Whoops. Good job. But Stan crashes into a sign, and he's like, "Here we are, the Summerween Superstore." I'm gonna call this thing Halloween so many times, it's gonna be bad. But the twins are like, "What the Summerween? What is that?" And Grandpa Stan's like, "Well, the town of Gravity Falls loves it so much that they celebrate it twice a year." He's actually holding up a calendar, to which Dipper says, "Do you always carry that calendar around with you?" And he's like, "Yes." But the twins are like, Summerween sounds dumb. Like, this sounds not cool. But Zeus is like, "Come on, there's free candy." And that immediately gets them jazzed for it. And we cut inside the Summerween Superstore, where the twins are searching for a costume. Zeus is messing with the candy bowl, the automated candy bowl heads. You've probably seen them if you like Halloween at all, or have been around Halloween at all. If you move around them or touch them, they tend to say something spooky. That's what Zeus is messing with. This one tells jokes, like Halloween puns. And unfortunately, apparently, he's been doing this a lot because the store clerk is just like, "Could you fucking not, please, could you stop pushing that?" And he's like, "Sorry, you got to make these heads less hilarious, and I would do that, but cannot do." Stan is picking up gallons of fake blood, like a whole oil drum of fake blood, because he is ready to scare kids. In fact, he says "boo" to a baby really suddenly and causes it to cry. We then cut to the Pines family just making a wreck of the store, and the store clerk is like, "Could somebody call the police and eject the Pines family from the store?"
I like that she specifies the Pine family. It implies that they are known troublemakers. They absolutely are.
They absolutely are.
Otherwise, this is a shitty.
But Stan throws a smoke bomb right in front of her, and they all run out of the store. Mabel asks, "Hey, we paid for this stuff, right?" And Gregor Stan's like, "Yeah, of course." The clerk picks up a piece of paper that is just a drawn $50 Stan buck. She hates Summerween. Stan knocks over some telephone poles, and they all get away. Skip the intro. It's a good intro. We cut to the mystery stack, and Mabel's like, "I'm so excited." And Dipper's like, "Yeah, we're going to get the best costumes, and we're going to get the most candy." And Mabel's like, "Yeah, this is going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. Twin power." Zeus is like, "What? Why are you guys so excited?" And Mabel's like, "Well, we're kind of the kings of trick-or-treating. Like, twin costumes, people just fucking love them." And I mean, that's not incorrect, I don't think. Twins do kind of get away, with being more seen as more cute. Absolutely. That's just fact. But Zeus is like, "Hey, this is a night of ghouls and goblins, not to mention the Summerween Trickster." Zeus explains, after the twins are like, "The Summerween, what?" Zeus is like, "The trickster, he goes from door to door, and he eats children who lack this Summerween spirit." And Dipper's like, "That's fine, we've got spirit enough for two." And he eats a piece of the candy, and he's like, "What the fuck is this stuff?" And he pulls out a wonderful array of just cheap Halloween candy, from Sand Pops to gummy chairs to Mr. Adequate bar instead of Mr. Good bar. It's pretty good. Mabel's like, this candy sucks. This is all loser candy." Zeus is like, hey, quit that. The Summerween Trickster might hear you, and then he's going to eat you. And Dipper's like, hey, your cape is stuck in your fly. And he's like, touche. But Dipper heads to the window with the candy bowl and starts throwing out all the loser candy, which might as well just dump that whole bowl. Because Stan is cheap. The doorbell rings. And Stan's like, trick-or-treaters, quick, give them some of that terrible candy. Because even Stan knows it's terrible. But it's not trick-or-treaters. It is Wendy and Robbie. Here to pick up Wendy's jacket that she left there again. Robbie's like, what's with the candy? You guys gonna go trick-or-treat or something? Losers. And Wendy's like, yeah, come on, shut up, Robbie. Dipper's too cool to go trick-or-treating. He's like, that's like... And Dipper's like, yeah, I'm totally too cool to go trick-or-treating. That's like baby stuff, I guess. And Wendy's like, yeah, you should totally come to this party at Tambri's house. Her parents are out of town. It's going to be amazing. And Robbie's like, yeah, I'm surprised you didn't hear about it. He hands Dipper a flyer for the party. He's like, yeah, I'm totally going to go. I'll be there. And Robbie's like, yeah, if you're not too busy playing dress up. TJ Miller playing, once again, terrible characters. Who are terrible. This, of course, leads to our B plot conflict, more or less. It's part of the A conflict, I guess. Stan is the B plot. But Dipper's like, I really want to go to this party. He's looking between, the memories of Halloween and this flyer. But he's decided he's going to go to this party. He's like, what am I going to tell Mabel? He knows he's going to let her down. We cut to Candy and Grinda at the Mystery Shack with Mabel. Mabel is wearing a jam jar costume. Candy is dressed up as a piece of candy. And Grinda is dressed up as a witch. Mabel introduces Candy and Grinda to Grunkle Stan. And they introduce themselves as well. Grinda says, hello, Mr. Pines, in her, as Grinda. And Grunkle Stan's like, something wrong with your voice? You got a cold? And Grinda's like, what do you mean? Why would you say that? And Grunkle Stan runs away. Candy asks if Waddles is going to go with them, but Mabel says he's got some important meetings to attend to. And Waddles is dressed up as the little businessman. It's very, very cute. They have a great laugh over it, of Waddles' cuteness. And Mabel's like, come on, guys, wait until you check out Dipper's costume. It's going to be amazing. It's awesome. And here he comes now. And Dipper comes down the stairs, and Candy's like, yeah, that's a really great Dipper costume, because Dipper is not dressed up at all. And Dipper's like, I can't go trick-or-treating because I'm real sick. I'm so sick. Oh, it must have been that bad candy I ate. Just go on without me. And Mabel's like, fight through it. Where is your Summerween spirit this holiday I just found out about today? There's a knocking at the door, and Dipper opens the door to a tall, lengthy man in a shabby coat, saying trick or treat with his bag wide open. And Dipper's like, dude, really? You're a little old for this, man. Sorry, get out of here. And the guy's like, wait. And Mabel's like, who was that? And Dipper's like, I told you, I'm just not feeling it tonight. I cannot go. And Mabel's like, come on. A little trick-or-treating is totally going to make you feel better because you just will not drop it. Dipper's like, I'm not trick-or-treating, to the door knocking again. And Dipper opens the door to this tall man and says, look, man, just go to another house. Mabel's like, come on, Dipper, where's your Summerween hospitality? She is once again all in on a holiday she just learned about today.
So Mabel always goes. Mabel only goes all in. She only knows all in.
Yeah, that's her mode. The door knocks again, and Dipper's like, I'm not getting that. And Mabel's like, well, I am. And she's like, I apologize for my brother. He came down with a case of the Grumpy Grumps. And this is the Summerween Trickster, in case you didn't know. And he's like, silence, you've insulted me, and for this you must pay with your lives. And Mabel's like, oh, what a cute little mask you got on. You're a funny guy, aren't you? Yeah. The trickster walks in and says, "Funny, am I?" To which we get a side character who I think this is the first time we're seeing him, and maybe the last time. I can't remember. But his name is Gorny, and he's dressed up like a little pirate. He's come here for trick or treating, only to be eaten by the Summerween Trickster. He literally picks up this child, unhinges his jaw, and just tosses him in, to everybody's horror. And the Summerween Trickster says, "Hey, there's only one way that you're going to get out of this. I need treats, so you're going to collect me 500 pieces of candy. And you got to do it before the last jack-o'-melon goes out, because instead of pumpkins, all the jack-o'-lanterns are made out of watermelons. So, which I don't feel that would work.
Really wet inside?
I mean, watermelons are really, really wet inside.
Yeah.
It just feels
I mean,
like...
they're technically related, but they're not the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. He's like, "I'll let you live if you can do it." And Dipper's like, 500 treats in one night? That's impossible. Which, you know what? I feel like it really isn't. Like, I feel like if I were a kid, I could do 500 treats. Because it's like, it's counted as individual pieces of candy. I could probably do at least half of that by myself as a child.
Yeah.
I feel like the stakes should have been just maybe a little higher. But Dipper says that's impossible. And the Summer Ranger's like, "Well, if you don't fucking do it, I'm gonna eat you. You're gonna die. You can trick or treat, or you can die." And then he crawls over the house. It's like a spider. It's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Dipper's like, "Oh my gosh, Mabel, do you know what this means?" And he was like, "I do. You have to come trick-or-treating with us. Yay!" Because Mabel has no concept of danger or stakes, which is kind of a running theme throughout the show.
Got a couple glasses of maple juice.
Yeah. Candy's like, "Who was that guy?" And Mabel's like, "It's the legend Zeus told us about. It's true." And Grinda's freaking out. Zeus, of course, walks out. He's like, "Oh, what's going on? I heard a ruckus." Ruckus. That's a funny word. Dipper's like, "Zeus, a monster's making us trick-or-treat, otherwise he's gonna eat us." And she's like, and Candy's like, "I got a picture." She pulls out a flip phone and has a picture of the Summerween Trickster with a border that says "Too cute" with hearts and like bunnies and stuff. And Korean. And just like, "Oh man, the Summerween Trickster, you guys are in crazy bonkers trouble." And Dipper's like, "How are we going to get that much candy? There's just no way." Which, once again, it's only 500 individual pieces of candy. It can be done. Anyhow. I was like, "Listen up, people. Now, some might say that being cursed by a bloodthirsty holiday monster is a bad thing." And Grinda's like, "Yeah, I wet myself." But Mabel's like, "But that monster messed with the wrong crew. With Candy's spirit, Grinda's strength, and Dipper's brains, and Zeus is here. We'll get 500 pieces of candy and have fun doing it, even if it takes all night." To which everybody's excited about except Dipper, because he's got a party to go to. He's like, "Oh man, all night?" He's like, "I can't. I'm sick. Remember? Cough, cough, cough." And Mabel's like, "Dipper, what the fuck? You're either gonna get eaten by... what's worse, trick-or-treating or getting eaten by a monster? Honestly." Which he thinks about for way too long. Mabel pulls him along. Anyway, we cut to Stan dressing up as a vampire. And he's like, "Oh, those kids aren't going to know what hit him." And as some trick-or-treaters walk up, he opens the door as a vampire. He's like, "Oh, what can I do for you?" Oh, no. And I don't know what kind of special effects and props he's using, but it is amazing, because his flesh mask that had perfect eye movement and mouth movement and everything, just melts off this skull mask that he's wearing, which causes 3 of the 5 trick-or-treaters to scream and run away in terror. Stan is like, ha ha ha, what? Because the 2 trick-or-treaters are like, look, that is not scary. Just give us some candy. And Stan's like, oh, what's the matter with you kids? That was the scariest thing you've ever seen, right? And they're like, eh. And Stan's like, well, have you ever seen this? And he starts screaming, and he starts pulling sausage links out of his shirt like they're guts. And the kid's like, come on, man, we've just been watching horror movies since we were like 2 years old. We've seen it all. We're not scared. Just give us some candy. And Stan's like, oh, you will be scared. You will be. And then we cut to the group trick-or-treating. Manly Dan and his sons are dressed as Vikings, and they're pillaging. The officers, Deputy Derlin and Sheriff Blubbs, are dressed as each other because they're totally straight. That's what straight best friends do, right? You dress up as each other on Halloween.
Probably.
But they're like, oh, they keep going back and forth about who makes the better them. We cut to Dipper, and he's like, I don't understand why we can't just buy the candy and be done with it. And Mabel's like, come on, where is your Summerween spirit? That is not how you do things. We cut to some kids at Lazy Susan's house, trick-or-treating. She's dressed up as a ball of yarn, and all her cats have little masks on, which is pretty good. She opens a bag of candy and just starts pouring it into the kids' bags. The group walks up, and Greta's like, oh, everybody up in costume? As she gets to Dipper, she's like, oh, what are you supposed to be? And Dipper's like, well, I'm not actually dressed up as anything. Can we just get this done? I'm in a hurry. And Lazy Susan's like, I see. And she gives everybody 1 piece of candy each. But not Dipper, because he's not in costume. And, of course, it's a loser candy. Mabel's like, this sucks. And Dipper's like, yeah, 4 pieces of candy? This is going to take forever. And Mabel's like, yeah, you've got to put on your costume so that we can get more candy. And Dipper's like, oh, I just can't because I'm so sick. And he starts coughing again. To which the Summerween Trickster appears above them on a lamppost. And he's like, oh, really? You're too sick. Well, that's fine. He comes down, picks out the 1 piece of candy from Zeus's bucket. And he's like, I've seen better. And he picks up a jack-o'-melon and blows it out. He's like, you're on a clock, motherfuckers. Tick-tock. And then he disappears. And Mabel's like, what was that about being too sick to wear a costume? Dipper's like, guess I gotta do it. We cut back to the 2 trick-or-treaters outside of the mystery stack screaming that they want candy. And Stan walks out. He's not in costume. He's like, okay, kids. You win. You got me. And then, he's like, I guess I'm not that scary, until he starts screaming and Waddles pops out of his shirt like an Alien reference. It's really good. And he's like, oh, why is there a pig in my chest? But the kids are not impressed. They're like, give us candy. Waddles falls out of Grugglestan's shirt and just walks away. He's like, what scared you 2 freaks? To which they pull out a smartphone. So, okay, is this the first smartphone that we've seen in this show?
There's Robbie's weird spring phone.
Okay. That's right. Why doesn't Tambry, who'll always be texting, have a smartphone? Why does she have a flip phone?
Tambry has a smartphone, I think.
No, she has a flip phone. She has a flip phone.
Weird.
Very weird. Anyway, they pull out a smartphone, and it's like, they're like, here, watch this. And it's just like, it's a cute little video of a cat, until suddenly it's not. It's this jump scare video, which freaks Stan right the heck out. He closes the door, and he's like, oh my god, that was so scary. I was like, what happened to you, Stan Pines? What happened to you? He's very sad with himself. We cut back to the group, and Dipper is now dressed up as a jar of peanut butter. They're peanut butter and jelly. Ta-da! Which, of course, leads the rest of the group to go, aw, because twin costumes are adorable. That's just how it is. Candy offers to take their picture to make them internet famous, and Dipper's like, no pictures. Hey, just erase that. Let's just get this over with. He looks down at his watch. It's 7 o'clock. He's only got, 2 hours to get all this candy so they can go to the party. And they get to their first house, and Dipper's like, do you really think this is going to make a difference? But the door opens up to a biker, a tough biker we've seen before. He's the biker that Mabel was doing the fortune-telling paper thing with in the wax episode. But the twins start doing a dance. They're like, ta-da-da, twins. This grumpy-looking man gets a smile on his face, looks up to the heavens, and sheds a single tear because it's so amazing, and just dumps all his candy into their sack. Which, now we're getting a kind of montage of them collecting candy. Mabel's counting out pieces of candy. She's like, 33, 34, 35. Candy, who's dressed up as a piece of candy, climbs inside the wheelbarrow, and she's like, 36. She's like, because I'm dressed up, and Mabel's like, yeah, no, I got it. Like, the twins are using their best twin tactics to get candy, and honestly, I feel like Alex Hirsch has already drawn 500 pieces of candy that they've collected, but somehow they are going backwards, and Mabel's at 24 instead of 36. The jack-o'-melons are going out, very quickly as they're collecting this candy. Doorbells are ringing. They get to Toby Determined's house and scream as Toby answers the door. They're like, what a horrible mask. And Toby's like, that's not a mask, that's just my face. And he pulls out a mask, like, this is a mask. And they're like, oh yeah, that's actually better. And Toby's very sad. It was just they didn't even get candy from that house. I think it was just a joke to bag on Toby. But they collect exactly 498 pieces of candy. And then, 499 pieces of candy. They're like, we just need one more piece. And Dipper's like, and it's only 8:30. This is perfect timing. And she's like, hey, and your cough went away. Susan's like, hey, dudes, I'm going to go grab the truck. And he runs away. He's dressed as a lucha libre, by the way. He didn't even I didn't even make mention of that. But Mabel and the girls go to get the very last piece of candy, which is weird. That's when Robbie's van pulls around the corner, and Dipper immediately throws all of the candy into a bush, as well as his peanut butter costume, because he doesn't want to be seen in costume or with candy. And Wendy's like, hey, Dipper, you coming to that party? And Dipper's like, yeah, totally gonna do it. And Robbie's like, what are you doing out here? And he's like, I'm just watching the trick-or-treaters. I like to walk. It reminds me of a simpler time when I was a kid. Yeah. But he's like, okay, then are you coming? He's like, yeah, definitely. I'm definitely going to come to that party. But Mabel sees the whole thing. She's like, you're going to a party? And she throws the last piece of candy right at his face. She's like, that's why you're acting so funny and trying to hurry us. You're not sick. You just wanted to go to some stupid party. You're going to ditch me if it wasn't for this crazy monster on our favorite holiday. Which, I know she's talking about Halloween, but Mabel, you just learned about Summerween. But she's like, what happened to the Dipper that used to love Halloween? What happened to that Dipper? And where's all the candy? And he's like, relax. I left it right here behind this bush. And they open the bush, and there's just a cliff on the other side of this bush. And the candy has been dumped into what looks like a radioactive creek. It's real bad. So Dipper has lost them all the candy. And Mabel's like, what'd you do? And that's when everybody notices that all the jack-o'-melons are out. Except for one, Old Man McGuckets. And so they're running as fast as they can to stop Old Man McGucket from blowing out the jack-o'-melon. And he's confused. He's like, what? You don't want me to do what? What's going on? I can't have... And he, like, pulls out one of those, like, old-timey earphone things to hear battle. And Dipper's like, don't blow out that candle. And hilariously, he throws away his earphone. He says, I'm Old Man McGucket. He's going to blow it out anyway. Which leads Grinda to just plow him over. He scampers away like a squirrel. Or a raccoon. Yeah, one of the two. But she saved the jack-o'-melon. It's not going to go out. And this is going to give, more time to get that candy. But they all breathe a sigh of relief, which puts out the jack-o'-melon. The lights start flickering in the street. And from the dark recesses of the night, the Summerween Trickster comes walking out. And he's like, knock, knock, where's my fucking candy? And he's like, so, you don't have my candy. And Dipper's like, I swear we had all 500 pieces. Look, it's down there somewhere. We can still get it. And he's like, no, it's too late. That was your last chance. I'm going to eat you now. Dipper throws the last piece of candy at the Summerween Trickster, and he just absorbs it. And then he grows extra limbs and is more spider-like. It's pretty awful. He's grabbing all the kids, and he's getting ready to eat them when Zeus plows through him with his truck. And Grinda's like, we're alive! Because it busts up the Summerween Trickster. Zeus gets out of his truck. He's like, that wasn't a regular pedestrian, was it? Because I don't know if this is the first man that Zeus has hit with his truck. But it was like, no, it was the monster. He's like, that's good. And Dipper's like, thanks, Zeus. You saved us. We're all going to get out of this. Okay, I'm so glad this is over. Right, Mabel? And Mabel just walks away. But she's angry still. Everybody gets to the truck, and Zeus is like, everybody got their seatbelts on? Yes. But Mabel is still giving the silent treatment and only nods. She's nursing a bruise on her elbow. Dipper's like, hey, maybe there's some bandages back at the mystery shack. But she will not talk to Dipper. That's when Mabel notices that the Summerween Trickster is reforming. Sans his overcoat and looks more like No-Face than ever. He jumps on the truck. Zeus is driving all kinds of erratically to shake him off, and they end up crashing into the Summerween store. They all climb out of the truck, and they need to find a place to hide because the Summerween Trickster is coming for them. They're moving from aisle to aisle, trying to dodge the Trickster. They cut into like some cubbies, and Dipper's like, everybody stay quiet. And Mabel's like, oh, now you're worried about the monster. I thought all you cared about was Wendy. And Dipper's like, Mabel, that's not true. I just felt like I was getting too old to go trick-or-treating. And Mabel's like, that's exactly what we need to go trick-or-treating, Dipper. We're getting older. There's not that many Halloweens left. I just didn't realize that this was already our last one. To which Dipper feels like a fucking jerk. The Summerween Trickster is just crawling all throughout the store, screaming. And Candy's like, we gotta get out of here. And Grinda's like, but he'll see us. And Zeus, hiding in a row of costumes, he's like, if only there was something we could use to disguise ourselves, cover our bodies and faces with, to not be noticed with. And everybody's like, So everybody puts on costumes. The twins are wearing like some kind of like little cultist outfits. Zeus is in a gorilla outfit. Grinda and Candy are just in like robes. And they're almost out. They're getting away when Zeus stops once again to the decorative candy, candy dishes with the talking skulls. And they're like, Zeus, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, guys, this has been a really stressful day. I have to do this. And they're like, no, don't you dare do it. He's like, no, I gotta. And he hits the skull, and nothing happens. And Mabel's like, oh, thank goodness. It was out of batteries. And then we cut right back to Zeus, who is struggling to open a package of batteries instead of just trying a different skull. He puts in the batteries, and he hits the thing, and it automatically starts talking. It says, "No matter the score, I'm always ahead!" Which alerts the Summerween Trickster. The Summerween Trickster opens his mouth wider than he's ever opened it before and just eats Zeus, just gobbles him up. The rest of the group pulls out foam weapons or cardboard weapons, plastic weapons, and they start attacking the Summerween Trickster. Grinda chops off an arm, gets a little of whatever this guy's made out of in her mouth, and she's like, "Saltwater taffy?" And Chipper's like, "What?" But he gets something in his mouth. He's like, "Oh my god, no, she's right." And the Summerween Trickster is like, "Have you guys figured it out yet?" And he instantly picks them up in his multiple hands, pulls off his mask, and reveals that he's made out of loser candy. Which includes candy corn, which I feel tells me something about Alex Hirsch, because candy corn fucking sucks, but not everybody agrees so. But the Summerween Trickster is like, "Yeah, I'm made up of all the rejected candy that kids throw into a dump, and I want revenge." We get a flashback to the teens we saw from the 90s, from the convenience store episode, just throwing away their candy. It's like, but he's like, "I want revenge," and everybody who's like shitty to like bad candy, I go after them. I go to eat them. He's like, "I am made of every piece of loser candy that has ever been discarded." He's also like, his face is the stuff of nightmares, to be honest.
It's horrifying.
It is horrifying. But he's like, I'm made of every like piece of black licorice, every circuit peanut, every discarded bar of chocolate with that white, that white powdery stuff, and it was like, "I hate that stuff." He's like, "No one would eat me, but now I'm going to eat you." The twins are screaming when the Summerween Trickster does not feel good. And we get our second alien reference as Zeus pops out of this thing's chest. But he's eating the candy that the Summerween Trickster is made of. The Summerween Trickster starts spewing jelly beans and falls to the floor. And it's like, "Hey guys, you want some of this?" As he continues to eat the candy. The Summerween Trickster's like, you actually think I taste good?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." He's like, "Oh, that's all I ever wanted, was someone to say that I was good." And he starts crying candy corn tears. Once again, candy corn sucks. And this is like, the crying is making this weird, but whatever, I'm still eating. Nothing phases Zeus too much. And then Gordy pops up, and he's like, "I've been traumatized." It's a really good joke. We cut back to the two kids that were outside the Mystery Shack. They're TPing the place. They're like, "What is with that old man? We just want some candy. Fine, we're gonna go get that candy." And they go into the Mystery Shack. They're like, old dude, we're here for the candy." We cut to Stan in the bathroom getting ready for a bath to wash his shame off, because he's just not that scary anymore. And immediately, as he disrobes, those kids come right into the bathroom, and they get a full eye view of Grunkle Stan in his boxers. He's at least in his boxers and his shower cap. But the sight of his old man body freaks them the F out, and they run away from the Mystery Shack, leaving their own candy behind. And Stan's like, yes, I'm still scary. I still got it. You're like, okay. Everybody comes back to the Mystery Shack, and it was like, yeah. Hey, Grunkle Stan, how's it going? Hey, Dipper. How's it again? Well, Wendy's there too, and Wendy's like, "Hey, I didn't see you at the party. Where were you?" And Dipper's like, I was trick-or-treating with my sister. And when he's like, okay, cool, whatever. She's like, yeah, whatever. That party was lame anyway. Robbie ate a lollipop stick first and had to go home sick. And that's when Mabel realizes, like, oh man, we didn't went to every single house and we didn't get any candy. That sucks. To which Greco says, like, no candy, eh? How's this for candy? He pulls out the 2 kids who ran away. He pulls out their candy and just gives it to everybody. That's when we cut to everybody sitting around the TV watching bad horror movies and just, enjoying their time together. Dipper puts a Band-Aid on Mabel's bruise and, she's feeling better. This is when Gurgle says, you know what? I've been thinking, kids. At the end of the day, Summerween is about candy or costumes or even scaring people. It's a day when the whole family can get together in one place and celebrate what really matters. Pure evil. And then everybody starts laughing sinisterly.
Pause.
Pause? Unpause. So, yeah, we end on everybody just laughing maniacally and evilly and then quitting to watch the TV, to which just says, I ate a man alive tonight. And everybody just looks at him like, what? Our end credit scene is just Waddles in his businessman suit with the girls like taking pictures of him, and then it cuts to those different pictures that Mabel takes over the song "Working 9 to 5" by Dolly Parton, which is why we will not be playing the end credits in the in this episode, because that is a copyright strike if I've ever seen one. Sadly, yeah. It's very cute, but no, we're not. I promise we're going to play something at the end of this, but not that. But they're all very cute pictures. Let's see. The cryptogram for this week, once descrambled, reads, brought to you by Homework the Candy.
Which is one of the bars of something earlier on in the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's the end of the episode. That's everything. A really fun episode.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Pretty good. A lot of weird stuff happens in it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say questionable, just weird.
Yeah, just weird.
Let's see. Yeah. On the flyer for Robbie's party, says not S&P approved. And S&P is Standards and Practices, which is a division of the network for like making sure that all the shows stay wholesome.
Yeah.
And anyone who's worked on animation or comms or whatever can tell you that S&P is a pain in the ass.
It is a pain in the ass.
And for voice actors, the Trickster is voiced by Jeff Bennett. Jeff Bennett has had like a massive voice acting career spanning 3 decades. Let me see if I can. Let me see how many. How I can hit real quick. A lot of bit parts on movies, direct DVD movies.
He was Dexter's dad in Dexter's Laboratory.
Was?
Yep. And Jonathan Long in Jake the American Dragon.
Voices for Animaniacs, Mosenrath on the Aladdin Show, Brooklyn on Gargoyles.
Oh man, he looks like a Brooklyn too. That show was good. Gargoyles was good.
Fan of Gargoyles. Captain Simian and the Space Monkeys, which is a cartoon that I love and no one remembers.
Me neither. Remembering that is. I do not remember.
Johnny Bravo. His voice, Johnny Bravo.
Nice. Yeah, so he's done a lot, basically.
And that's only up till 2000. He has another 20 years after that. So, but no, we cannot list his entire career right now. So let's move on.
Yeah. Apparently this episode takes place on Friday, June 22nd, which is, the day after the summer solstice. So it does have, some correlation to... Nope, never mind. I was going to say it has some correlation to Halloween, but it doesn't, because for some reason I was going with Halloween follows around the solstice in my brain, but that does not work at all. So,
The equinox.
yeah, I mean, it does happen around the equinox, but like a month after the equinox.
Right.
So never mind. Yeah, so I think that's but it was the final episode to be aired in 2012.
Yep.
So there's that. There we go. But I think that's all that I have to talk about with this episode.
That's all I've got to say too.
Cool. So where can people find you on the internet if they want to talk to you about stuff?
I'm on Twitter. Too much. I'm at Dr. C Monster. That is at DRC Monster. Come and find me on Twitter, where you can see me make attempts at being philosophical and also bemoaning my stressful life.
You can find me, as always, on Twitter at DatFirePrincess, spelled D-A-T. You can find me on my numerous podcasts that I do, including One Half Podcast, the one and only, internet's one and only Rama One Half Podcast. You're never going to find another one, because nobody else will do it. It's just, this, but for Rama One Half, which was very important to a very certain community, which is currently continuously under attack. Yeah, and I think that's it. I think that's all the plugs I have for this podcast. So, until next time, remember...
Reality's an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Bye, old. Bye!
Bye!
Kids, I've been thinking. At the end of the day, Summerween isn't about candy, or costumes, or even scaring people. It's a day when the whole family can get together in one place and celebrate what really matters. Pure evil!
I ate a man alive tonight.